Hello everyone, it's RuSyxx here with some Godzilla. So I don't know how many people have played the old games. They're actually pretty good compared to the newer ones. I don't know if anybody played the PS4 Godzilla, it was not good at all. But here we're going to do some 80%. So for 80% we use Godzilla 90s. And time will be at the beginning of the first fight. So we use a lot of the time in the run would be loading screens, which is why we skip the first loading screen. But we use Godzilla 90 specifically for two reasons.
Godzilla vs. Monsters. Fight!
Specifically, well, three reasons really, but the most important reasons will come up in later stages. So this game has 10 stages, 8 fights, and 2 challenges. As Godzilla 90s happens to have the faster of the 2 challenges. In terms of, and a lot of these challenges will be like specific time limits. Like it'll be like you have to do X amount of damage in 3 minutes or whatever. Godzilla 90s doesn't care about that, he just likes to go fast. The other reason is that Godzilla 90s can do what I'm doing right now, where he can just sit there and more or less throw the other kaiju and do an excessive amount of damage. Granted, Baragon likes to dig, so like they can be a bit of an issue. The first 2 stages are both Baragon and Megalon. They both like to dig a lot. Yep. A lot of the first stages are avoiding letting them dig if you can. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that this time, but now we're about Baragon. So Godzilla 90s, very powered, very effective.
You win.
Then we'll be going up against Megalon. He also likes to dig a lot. The main difference here is when I go for Godzilla's atomic breath, I have to let it loose a little earlier. Because Megalon's just a bit faster than Baragon was in terms of digging.
Monsters. Fight!
So if I'm not fast enough, he will dig like that. And I have to be careful not to let them grab me. If they grab me, I will lose several seconds each time. Because they will just sit there and let me hold me for several seconds, whether I'm able to escape the grab or not. And there's an example. Oh no, I got it. Okay. So it's like if I'm not fast enough, he will dig underneath and it won't do any damage. If I do it just in time, it'll cancel his dig animation, and I'm able to do a bit more damage that way. Another thing is that you might notice that I'm avoiding most of the buildings when I can. That's because they get up faster. Okay, there's an example of when I'm a little too slow. It's like, and I had to break free and do that. But like I said, Megalon, you gotta be a little quicker with the atomic breath. It's a little bit less damage than it would be against like Baragon, but overall it's faster. But yeah, we have to avoid hitting buildings, the edge, for all the characters except for one, which you'll see later with Mothra, because they get up faster when they hit buildings and walls. For one reason, I don't know if it like the impact makes them more and more aware, like I gotta roll up, I just hit a building, or if the buildings are just like pillow cushions for the kaiju because they're so big and scary. Oh no! And then I can just scrap it up. That's Megalon. Oh no, he survived. That was like a sliver of life.
KO. Godzilla 90s won. You win.
So that's the majority. That's all the diggers in the 10 stages. It's like they can be a pain, which is why it's good that at the beginning. It's like if I lose a lot of time, I can just reset early. And now we have Godzilla's greatest nemesis, King Ghidorah. So King Ghidorah likes to spam his lightning very early on. Fortunately, that's about the most worry we usually have from him. The other issue is that he has wings, so he can fly up in the air. When the different kaiju are flying, Godzilla cannot grab them, except for Mothra. Mothra is always flying, but Mothra can go up to a certain altitude and avoid him. Like right there, like if I had tried to grab King Ghidorah while he was still in the air, I would have missed. Another issue with King Ghidorah stage is like you might have noticed, like it took me a moment to move. For whatever reason, this stage has a lot of issues with Godzilla's movement. It's like, whereas like I'll be moving a certain direction and it'll eat the inputs on this stage. It doesn't happen on every stage. There are different stages that it happens on. The King Ghidorah's happens very frequently. Those old PS2 era controller inputs. And there should be one more for King Ghidorah. Just like all the King Ghidorah's fights you watch in the movies, right?
You win.
I've always likened this game to be very like the 90s era movies in terms of the speed run, because like we focus so much on the atomic breath instead of actual like fist to fist, like in the really old movies. It's like let's blast them. So this is the first of the two challenges. So we're going fast, so we don't care about the points that we get for completing the challenge, so we just try to fail the challenge as fast as possible. In this case, we were supposed to protect a building, but we're Godzilla. We don't protect buildings, we destroy buildings. So we throw a building at the building and then finish it off with some tail whips. It's got, I don't know what they were thinking. It's like, we're gonna protect the building from aliens. Nah. Alright, so now we have Mothra. Mothra can be a bit troublesome, because he likes to run away and he likes to use all of his lasers and toys. I would explain what Mothra is. It's fun. A fun little note about Mothra is his name is actually an acronym. But as you can see, he's like, he just likes to spam. The advantage is though, we are never going to let him get a full charge on his weapon meter again. So it's like the amount he can spam just increases the longer he does it. So it's like, it sucks when he manages to do it. He manages to do it a lot through the fight. But once he's low, he's low. It's like the amount of spam he can do to me decreases exponentially, and we're able to wrap him up. If we're lucky, he'll try and charge, and we get yeah. So here's a little funny note about some of these stages. You might have noticed that ship just stops at Godzilla's atomic breath. I don't know what world a wooden ship lasts through the atomic breath, but it's this one. Because if we're lucky, Mothra will try and charge, and we'll be just good. Right there, yeah. Just in time to finish him off.
Godzilla 90 is one. You win.
Yeah, like long loading screens are kind of a staple to this game's run at this point. It's one of the reasons the Xbox version is faster than the PS2 version. Then there's a tail whip trick that the Xbox version was able to figure out. Alright, so Ingress is also an issue for a completely different reason. Ingress has strong defense. It's like, so depending on when you blast Ingress, you're not going to do nearly as much damage. So it's like, we usually hold it for a second, and we try and catch him as he's jumping at Godzilla, or as he's standing up. Because if it hits a shot, he's doing a lot of jumping right now, which is weird. Usually he just tries to run forward and attack me instead, but the jumping's a bit different. That's not something he usually does. It's one of those weird, never happened before moments, I guess. But there you go. That's what he usually does. He'll usually stand up and get ready to walk towards me. He just did a little jump kick there. So him jumping up has been a little weird. But it's like, as long as we can hit the exact moment, we're good. If we... Oh, there we go. He likes to roll as well. But yeah, it's like, the main goal is like, if we do hit his shell, he's able to respond faster. Because he doesn't get knocked over by the atomic breath, so he's able to do more damage and knock me over, which in turn will slow me down. Can't be having that.
Godzilla 90 is one. You win.
So stage 7 should be Rodan. Rodan is a bit tricky because he likes to fly around and run away. The Starscream of the Toho Godzilla universe. Likes to act tough, talk tough, but then he's not actually that strong. on comparison to the big boys. But he's popular. He had one of the best moments in the most recent American and Hollywood movie. So, like the scene where he comes out of the mountain. Loved it. I screwed that up. So, one of Godzilla's weapons is a fireball. I try not to use it when I can, because as you can see, his weapon meter went down way low, and it's not worth the damage you get from it. It shouldn't be too much of an issue, because Rodan was a bit tricky for a moment there, and gave me time to recharge instead of letting me improvise. He's being a lot more aggressive than usual as well. So usually he runs around a lot more and relies heavily on his weapon. This time around, he's being a lot more physically aggressive. So that's one thing about this run too, is like you never really know what the AIs are gonna pull out on you. Sometimes the AI is like super predictable, and you're like, yeah, I know exactly what it's gonna do. And then I have runs like this one where like I don't know exactly what they're doing or why they're doing it. I can only hope Mothra is in the kind stage. This is Mothra will be in stage 9, dependent ultimate stage. And she can be a bit of a handful, because she is the only character that is immune to the atomic breath. Oh, come on, Rodan. Alright, so now we're on to the second of 2 challenges. This challenge is a bit more tricky. We actually do have to succeed this one if we want to save time. It's, as termed in the game, monster bowling. So what's pretty much going to be happening is we're going to be picking up boulders and throwing it at other kaiju.
Get ready to crumble.
So I've had times where this goes really well, and I've had times where this goes really poorly. I'm going to try to catch that, and we caught it, and I threw it like a dummy. So Godzilla doesn't like to pick up these boulders at all, which will be great for when you guys get to see the basketball, because we use Godzilla for that one as well. Because the incentive was made from some very generous donations. I'm excited to show that to everyone. Granted, I'm worse at that minigame than I am at this one, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this minigame has some interesting physics. Godzilla has those T-Rex arms where he can't pick up boulders. It's a good time. Alright, so repeat one more. I think the first one's going to get back up before, because they can get back up, that's the thing. And that's where this run could very much snowball. As you see, the first kaiju got back up. If I'm not fast enough, the second one will get back up as well. But we're good. That challenge is the run killer on top of Mothra. Mothra is usually manageable though. It's like I'm consistently bad at Mothra, so I never expect to do well. On that challenge, it can go either way. Sometimes I finish it in half a minute. Sometimes it takes me 2 minutes. Just depends on how well I'm doing this that day. All right, so Mothra has 2 phases, because you can't play as Mothra and not be the larva, right? So they include the larva. The larva is the most standard part of this run with Mothra. The second half will be a lot trickier because we have to position her really close to the green border, but we don't want, at the same time, we don't want the larva to hit the border yet, because it makes it get up faster. So after a certain damage threshold, Mothra will transform. I'm pretty close to it now. So around 30% of her health, she will transform into her moth form. So it should be after this atomic breath. There we go. So phase 2. It is actually possible technically to kill Mothra before she transforms on the Xbox version. Oddly enough, because the Xbox version has a tail glitch, as I mentioned earlier, where like Godzilla is just able to constantly tail whip, and it lets him just snowball damage like crazy. But yes, since we cannot rely on the atomic breath, we have to utilize the barrier against Mothra here, basically using it as a bug zapper. It's kind of a risky strat on its own as well, as if Mothra is able to hit us, they can start bouncing us off the wall, and that can be an issue really quickly. Or she can fly up in the air and I can't grab her different things can happen there. So it all depends on how she's feeling that day. But the main goal is to bounce her off as many times as possible. Usually do about 25 to 30 damage. So it should be like 2 or 3 more attempts here. Mothra's being very nice right now. Mothra's usually a lot meaner. So I appreciate her kindness right now. Because if it in any other environment, I love her.
Godzilla 90s is one. You win.
That was actually that was
Oh,
legitimately my best
sorry.
one. Oh, sorry. Yep.
Gonna throw in real quick. Just got an anonymous $10 donation. No comment, but as always, we appreciate your generosity. I believe that went toward the Minecraft Who Goes into the Nether bit war as well.
God.
All right. Now we're on the final stage. So we got Mecha Godzilla. Like, of course, with Godzilla, you have to have Mecha Godzilla as the final boss. I would prefer Type 3 to be the final boss for Godzilla 90s, but it makes more sense for 2. I think Mecha Godzilla 3 is actually the final boss for Godzilla 2000. So it does make sense. I just prefer Type 3 over Type 2. All 3 Mecha Godzillas are actually in this game as well, along with Mecha Ghidorah. So I'm very bad at using them. Because they have a lot more individual weapons and so their weapons are a lot more technique based, and I'm very bad at those. I'm very much a direct player of this game. I'm happy he's not running away as much right now. Mecha Godzilla likes to run away a lot in the final stage. Yeah, it should be coming up soon. If he stops blocking anyway. Time will be on the KO screen for Mecha Godzilla. Should be 1 atomic breath away now. And that's time. Hey, what's up, Bones? Alright, so that was a good time actually. It's like that would have been a PB about 3 days ago. But I PB'd about a minute under my previous PB, so now I was like, I actually have a sub 17-minute run. Now I'm consistently getting it, which is crazy because I went months without that. But you all donated for some Kaiju basketball, and I'm going to deliver on that. Or as it thank you. Civilian basketball. If you pay attention to stage 8, that was a very clunky and weird stage. So how am I going to play basketball with Godzilla like that? The answer is I'm going to do what Godzilla always does. First, I'm going to score a basket, hopefully. I'm probably going to miss that. But I'm not going to actually just sit there and try and score. I'm going to toss the Kaiju at each other. That'll keep them down long enough for me to do about 2 or 3 shots. And I'm going to try and repeat that process as much as possible. If you try to play this game fair and square, you will lose. It is literally impossible. I've seen them get up to as many as 40 points. Oh, I missed. Damn. But yeah, I was like, they never miss. These guys, the AI on these Kaiju just does not miss. At this point, it's almost worth it just to do my best to keep them from getting up at all. Right now, their AI has been a little wonky though. Usually they won't run away. Usually they just get the balls and they're good. But yeah, we do not want them to start scoring though.
Thank you all for donating to this. This is incredible.
But this is probably my favorite mini game. I'm always sad I can't include the run, but it's a guaranteed 3 minutes, so it's like you can't really run with that, obviously. Oh, they got up. Oh, missed him. Yeah, you have to throw them at each other. I don't know what they're doing. That's different. They don't usually circle each other. I probably should have just tried to keep them doing that. Okay, that was perfect. I actually got up just as I threw him. If I can get 2 more baskets, I'll probably have this wrapped up in terms of potentially defeating the game. Or not. That's also the thing. The basketballs can legitimately. They look more like soccer balls, really, but the balls, if you throw them at the other kaiju, will send them flying backwards. I learned that the fun way because when I was trying to play this casually in the past, it's like it would just constantly happen. It was like they would throw the ball, and I would start flying back and be like, "What just happened there?" Because I would be in the way of them throwing the ball. All right, I got to get them down before they start scoring, because they're gonna score. All right, and that should be a good basketball game, even if I don't make any more. I'm gonna try and make one more for the sake of it. All right, here we go. Buzzer beater. Ah. Hey. And that is Kaiju Basketball. Thank you everybody for donating for that. I'm happy I got to show that off. Thank you for letting me show off Godzilla in this marathon. I always love my chance to show off Godzilla to everybody in the world. It's one of the best film franchises out there. And good luck for everybody in the rest of the marathon. Thank you.
Thank you, GG again.